Hi, I'm Arcturus, and I'm joined here by Sebastian Kane on the Forerunner server. This is Wars Going On, where we go over the topics of the week that addresses the latest news, what's going on in the game, and we do take input from the community. We try to get inputs from our comment section, or if you're on the Dragon Slayers Discord, we have a channel on there we call the Wars Going On, and you can dive in there and you can add your thoughts, and we will go through those and bring relevant ones to this forum.
Yeah, hello again, everybody. We are going to bring you the news of the week, and do please remember to hit like and subscribe so you are notified of future episodes. So, Arturos, you may appear somewhat frozen, but the internet gremlins kind of got you on your end, but at least we were able to get you on the call, and that's all that matters, is that you are here with me to discuss this very interesting update that just rolled out into Forerunners, and I'm assuming it's going to come into global.
Well, absolutely. I think it's going to bring some things to the table. I think some people are going to like it. I think some people are going to absolutely hate it, and there's going to be a lot to discuss on this one.
Okay, so let's leave the meaty stuff for the end. Let's just go over the others that they just threw in terms of the update that will roll out here. Let me just start out with, if you have the skin, you no longer need to put it onto your hero. If you get the skin, you get the extra stats now. So if there's a particular skin that you just happen to get for free and you don't want to equip it in your hero, then you don't have to. You still get the stats.
You do have to press equip once.
Okay.
And as soon as you've equipped it once, then you can equip it. You can equip the default skin, and the stats bonus will remain. And I know a lot of people have issue with the Silas skin, and this will allow them to go back to the default Silas skin. So there's things like that.
Yeah, that's my least favorite skin in the game so far, is the Silas skin. I have no idea what they were thinking with that. All right.
I think Viernes is pretty bad too, but yeah.
Okay, well, not as bad as Silas as the Silas system.
He's a trailer trash bride.
Okay, now, they're no longer going to be calling out Epic Lord hero summoning, so I guess that they're trying to clean up the channels a little bit, so epics are not going to be emphasized anymore.
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about that. I mean, it's basically saying we don't care about epics, everything is about the legendary, which I think it ties in nicely to the topic of today, which is showcasing epic heroes and what they can be used for, but this is one that's, I think it's quite a bit of a quality of life one, but it does sort of lay in people's minds that epics aren't valuable.
Yeah, and well, I was just thinking it probably cleans up the chat a little bit, but yeah, I guess that there could be that perception that they're devaluing the Epic Lord heroes here by not broadcasting anymore. Now, they're saying that they're improving sound effects for Drake Chasm and Titanic Ruins. To be honest with you, I don't play the game with the sound on, so I don't even know what it sounds to go into those battles.
Yeah, I very rarely have the sound on as well, so yeah, my default reaction to this is this game has sound, but it's...
And for a content creator, it's often hard, because if you do play the game with the sound on, depending on whatever state you are, or wherever gear raid or gear dungeon, sometimes you get copyright because they're using music that is copyrighted. So I have, it's just like, ever since, it's just been volume down. Don't play sound. So, all right. Now, you speak Muntan more than I do. So what do you think they mean by we're going to improve the performance and smoothness of the hero gear interface?
I think that's them trying to clean up some of the lag that we've been seeing in the game.
That's what I thought
too. Because it's been getting incredibly laggy recently, especially here on the Forerunner server, since they introduced the farm, and I've had to stop running the game in like high quality, in ultra quality, just to try and get to smooth out the gameplay performance. I've dropped back to like balanced, I think, and that has made some improvements, but it's still not been a pleasant experience. So I think this is them just trying to clear things up, make things work a bit better, make the transitions between the tabs in the hero interface feel a bit better. So yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
And then the other thing that they're adding, finally, because we've been asking about it, especially for Lucius, is that they're going to put a status icon on, so we know when that damnation stack is ready to put him into the demonic mode.
Yeah. If you actually jump over to the gallery, you can see they're now going to have a little tooltip on WatchGuard.
I forgot.
WatchGuard.
Oh, WatchGuard. See, I always confuse those two. Okay. And see, this is what happens when you ask me to drive the okay, so here it is.
Oh, the internet crashed.
Okay, so all right.
So if you go, if you scroll down his talent, there you go. You can see his damnation stat. So if you click on damnation,
okay, let's click on damnation.
So now he has
there it is. Look at that
damnation with an icon. And as you're playing along, you get stacks of that, and there's obviously the resolution of the game. You get about 3 pixels, which has got the number on it. But he now has a number of stacks, and that goes up as he's gaining his stacks of damnation. So you can visually see, if you've got the eyesight of an eagle, how many stacks of damnation he has. So it gives you an indicator of where things are and whether you've got time to trigger his ultimate before his damnation procs. Ingrid has become an absolute wall of text on her second passive, the one with the stars on it.
Yes.
Sorry, this first passive.
Yeah,
this
right
one.
Here, right?
It's there are just so many tooltips now. But yeah, her solar energy and her stellar energy have got individual tracks. Those are each going to increase by a numerical indicator to show how many stacks of that she's got. So it gives you a better idea of where she is before they're triggering the overloads, which does impact what you can do.
No, but there are some situations, especially now, maybe in Arena and in GVG for sure, that this is going to, I guess, provide us some indication of where she is when she's stacking this, but at the same time, we'll be able to know if she's 8-3 or not, because 8-3, you only need 1. You only need 1. You don't need to wait for the 5. So, you know.
I still think that's a little bit overpowered. I think maybe... Well, two would probably have been better, but 1 is just incredible because she's just a rapid fire Death Star at that stage. That's pretty terrifying.
Okay, so the other one that they emphasize, they are going to add Sanja's exclusive artifact to the game. We will come back to Sanja though, because we are going to definitely talk about her. So her divine justice here increases the damage by 15 to 30%. Apparently she has a retribution, so she will be able to inflict that to one additional target. So it's just another exclusive added to the game because of a new hero being introduced.
Yeah. And they're going to make Gear Raid 3 easier. So they're going to sort out...
Yeah, this last one is a really interesting one here. They're adjusting the cost regeneration rate by 10%. So is this because of the perception that you need Eloin to beat the later content, or what exactly do you think is going on in here?
I think that a lot of people find that the timings on Gear Raid 3 19 plus is incredibly tight. I've certainly found that if you're trying to use Setram in that set, trying to get out Setram, another marksman, and a right channel marksman to take out the floating demons, the big eye marauders.
Mm-hmm.
it's really, really difficult to get that with a decent amount of cost, and you're sometimes scrabbling, and you can't always get the right channel hero out fast enough that you're getting the damage on them before it gets through. Now, if you can increase the cost so you can get them out 1 or 2 beats earlier for that 10% cost, then you've got more chance of taking them down. More people are going to be able to clear that content and go on through. So I think overall it's a nice quality of life thing. I mean, those of us who have fought through the tight cost on those stages is really good. I don't think that now in the gear dungeons, it will make a difference if it's gear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because those are incredibly tight as well. Gear Dungeon 2, I certainly remember grumbling that it just needs a bit more cost available to get at the heroes out fast enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Gear Raid 3 and Gear Dungeon 2 are going to be the ones where it's the most transformational.
My idea was it was Gear Dungeons because they probably wanted to make it a little bit more accessible, especially maybe like 6, 7, 8, to make sure that you could get your heroes out a little bit quicker and set things up a little bit quicker, and you're not really relying on a particular set of heroes. So adding a little bit more diversity, I guess, into the makeup of the composition. But this was a very surprising, just last comment thrown into a patch update. It's just said, we're just going to give you a little bit more cost region, and hopefully you have your Pantheon leveled up as well, so you can get even quicker. So that I think that this will adjust a lot of gameplay, a lot of how things are going to be made up now. I think it might bring other heroes into the fold that other people that you couldn't bring in because, like you said, they have high cost.
And I think as well, as there are more arbiters in the game, and they are all very high cost.
Yeah,
they're trying to encourage. They want people to use these heroes rather than them going, well, they're too expensive, I can never deploy them. So I'm not going to say this is part of the zealous revolution after he got his artifact buffed, but maybe this is part of that acknowledgement that people didn't like using him because he was too expensive and too difficult to deploy. Now, if cost is coming up faster, then heroes like that become more viable.
All right, so talking about hero viability and all this stuff going on, let's go to the main topic at hand here today. And this is where, I don't know if you and I are going to share the same idea, but you've been playing this game longer than I have. And my background, I play another game that, is RPG style gacha game where I saw similar stuff. And that kind of turned me off. So we're going to have very different perspectives here, I think. But they're changing things in Arena, and I think that they're going to entice you to get the analytics in that content a little bit higher than they might currently be. Now, especially you and I here in the Forerunner server, we see that evidently, right? So let's start with point number 1. So there's changing the season rules. So now, instead of being, at least when I'm reading it, instead of ending at the week point, Sunday through Sunday, now they're going to extend it out several weeks.
Yeah, so if you can actually jump into the arena, and if you tap on the info button at the top, it's now got top right-hand corner. Sorry, top left-hand corner.
Right here?
Yeah, that's the one. So now it's got 2 sessions. It says a season is 5 weeks, with rewards varying based on the player's ranks in the first 4. So I don't know if it suggests that there's going to be a break in the 5th week.
Yeah,
but anyway,
and then it says a season calculation which offers more rewards and reduces more rank points than weekly calculations. Now, that last part there is really big too. So it says, and then it occurs in the 5th week, the last week of each season. Now, it says here the higher rank grants better rewards at the weekly and season calculations and unlocks better items in the arena shop. Okay, so are we going to, so let's say for those pushing the avatar, the top one avatar, is that still gonna, to you, is that still gonna be available every week, or they're gonna do that per season now? Or are they adding
I think
a seasonal
I think they're
avatar?
gonna have to update that. I think they're gonna have to update the achievement, the top one achievement, because that suggests at the end of the season. Now, if you're extending the season out to 5 weeks, maintaining that top spot for 5 weeks, or being the person who's at the top at the end of 5 weeks, is going to be much harder, I think, than doing it over the course of a week.
So, in terms, how are you reading that reduce more rank points than the weekly calculation? So, do you think that this is going to be one of those things that maybe in the weekly you get bumped from, let's say you finish an overload, you get bumped down to Plat 3, but then when the seasonal reset comes, is it now that you are in Apex, you get to go back all the way down to Plat 3, and if you're in Plat 3, you go back all the way into Plat 1 instead of Plat 2? Is that what they're going for here? That they're going to de-rank us so much that we have to then climb back up for those 4 or 5 weeks?
Oh, God, I hope not.
Well, so you're reading that, though, because that's the way I'm reading it. It reduces more rank points.
Or is it that you don't have to, it's not as hard to climb back up?
Okay.
You're we're removing fewer points at the end of each season.
Okay, so then more rewards and reduces more rank points than weekly calculations. At a season calculation. Yeah. I'm taking it that's going more to be the sticking point. It's exactly how if this is a translational issue, or do they exactly mean what it says here, which is at the week you're going to get reset, and then at the season end, you're going to get reset even further. So I've seen this with other games. I've seen, I think it was Awakened Chaos Era was one of them, where you had a weekly reset, so then you get bumped down 1 tier, and then you had to climb up again. But then additionally to that, they had the seasonal change, because there was a reward system that was different. But when that season triggered, everything just shifted down drastically. So there were some situations there where the seasonal change happened, or the seasonal reset happened 1 or 2 days after the weekly reset. So if you did not climb up again during those 2 days, you were going to get hit twice. You were going to D-rank on the weekly and then D-rank on the seasonal. But it seems to me that they are going to do first 4 weeks, we're going to D-rank weekly, like we are used to. And then in the 5th week is going to come the seasonal D-ranking. And so that season, I think, is going to be 2 hits.
You're right. That's going to be horrible.
Now, they're saying here a higher rank grants better rewards at the weekly, and a season calculation and lacks better items in the arena shop. So that's exactly what they're going for here. And the whole thing about talking about Apex coins. So we'll come back here to this, the wording on the update. So so let's hope that is not what I'm thinking that is going to be for the seasonal ranking, because a lot of those players, if you struggle enough to get into Plat 3 and now you're going to dump them all the way back to Plat 1 and have to climb all the way up along with everybody else, this is going to cause some havoc, I think. We'll see how that goes.
And we're just going to end up with the same situation where people who were sort of happy in Plat 2, Plat 1, suddenly get dumped on by loads of people who are incredibly strong, who have been pushed back through a systems update. And all that does is piss the player base off. It pisses off the people who are in those high ranks that they have to spend time climbing again. And it puts people off a game mode, which, let's be honest, not many people enjoy Arena. I know some CCs out there love it.
Yes.
And that's great. That's their thing. But for a lot of the players, it's one map that you have to do 30 plus times a week. And there's such a degree of randomness involved. And ultimately, Arena victory comes down to two things: how lucky you've been in ancient pulls and how lucky you've been on your gear rolls. Yep. And if you've been unlucky at either one of those, you're never going to succeed. You can be the biggest whale in the world and have terrible gear rolls, and you'll only get so far. And this is going to be a game. This is a shift which I don't like for Arena, because I think it's going to make it worse. I think more people are going to feel disenfranchised by these changes.
Yep, and I think that the feeling of the different defranchising is going to be compounded even more by what they decided to add here, which they're calling it an Apex shop. And now we're going to have a new currency called Apex coins, which we're going to get if we win battles in Overlord. Plat 3, I think, might drop some, and eventually Apex Overlord. So let's start with the shop, because that's what they said. We're going to be adding these things here. So they are adding the primary thing, I think, and this is where it's going to bring a lot of conversation, is going to be that now we have an exclusive hero that we can acquire. She's an Arbiter, of course. She's a marksman. But she's an exclusive hero that we are just going to be able to acquire if we grind Arena Knife and collect a lot of these coins. And we need 40,000 of these Apex coins. I'm assuming that if you get them through the battles, right? From what I was seeing here on the ranking system.
So you get in Overlord, you get 10 if you win a victory. You get 10 in the battle if you win.
All right.
And in I don't know what it is in Apex because I can never get there. But the season now, this is the weekly rewards.
This is a weekly. I haven't found a seasonal one yet.
You can't. Yeah, they don't currently show them. But this is the weekly reward, and if you look at the level, you can't quite see it because my head's in the way.
Oh, let me.
Is the 1,500 for getting Apex Overlord, Arena coins, 400 for Overlord, and 200 in Plat 3. Now, I saw someone say that it would take someone 4 years if they're in getting Plat 3 to unlock that hero. And now, that's just painful. Well, I'm really frustrated by this.
So let's keep in mind. That there's also RTA coming, and we don't know exactly if it's going to drop this currency as well. But I'm just thinking because just as an example, just to give you an example, in Raid Shadow Legends, they decided we're going to add RTA into our game, and RTA is real time arena, by the way, and to kind of entice our players to move up the rankings, to move up the tiers, to get to that gold 1 tier. We're going to make it so if you push and you get there, you can get this legendary hero. Now, based on his kit, everybody thought maybe would be capable to do something, but in the end, the game players did not find any use for him, or he was very niche. But it still applied. You had to grind RTA. Yeah. You had to first demoralize every account that you could to climb up. And then you were hoping that enough people climb with you so you could get a match so you could continue climbing. So it's going to be the same situation here with Apex in terms of this Apex shop and trying to get these coins, that yes, every week you're going to have to grind Arena, try to get those consecutive wins, and climb back up again. demoralizing accounts, pushing those accounts down to your benefit to try to get those coins, to try to get into Apex, because that's where it's going to drop the currency. And it just has that feeling that, okay, so for those that do live in this world that they have a fear of missing out, FOMO, that if they know that there's this hero here, they're going to try to get into Arena and do as much as they can. But here's the thing. When they just dumped a hero that completely obliterated two of the modes, AoE and entire, completely changed it.
Yeah.
Where this hero is the predominant one, that will help you dominate Epic's Arena. And then you come in on top of that, when with videos from CCs going out there, Ingrid overpower, Ingrid devastating, Ingrid this, and it completely, and not only that, she completely has changed GVG as well. But that's a topic for another story.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna dump this hero on top of that. If you want her, go ahead, try to farm out Apex as much as you can.
Yeah, it's going to be, and she's going to, by the looks of her kit, she's really, really good. And the only thing which would make her worse would be invisibility, because she can hit targets outside of her range. Now,
it's like a power-up Idril.
Yeah, or a powered-up Idril, or powered up. Yeah, I mean, as soon as she can, every 45 seconds, I think, is her passive, she can mark a target. I think it's her second passive. And you can, there you go. Every 35 seconds, she can mark a target. That target can be out of their range. She does bonus damage on them, ignoring their defense. And so you think, oh, brilliant, I've got past these guys. My guys are just about to... Oh, no, I've been shot down by this marksman on the other side of the battlefield.
Exactly.
It's just going to be... It's going to be horrendous.
Yeah, it says on the farthest enemy. Yeah, she can still go and inflict. Yeah, so she has a very interesting kit. It's going to be unique. She's going to be one of these heroes that whoever gets her definitely is going to want to test her out in GBG to possibly nail down a flying lightning guard that just got through. But you know, aside from what she can do and whether she's overpowered or not, it's just the whole situation that, to me, it's just, okay, it's something for you to attain if you do Arena, but I've told you in the past, this content to me there is no imagination to it. There is no real cohesiveness to it. It's all about who can plug the spawn point the fastest, who has the best heroes, right? So, you know, if you have the heroes that are in the top 10 here, you're going to do very well. You're going to succeed. You're going to get into Apex. Relatively simple. So, you know, it's... It does not seem to me to be... instead of fixing the content, I would say, they just said, how can we entice people to do this as it is? And here it is. We'll just introduce an Apex shop with a hero. And now, not only on top of that, if you do get the hero, they're even saying, okay, now stay on top of it if you want to awaken her. And her soulstones are 50,000 coins each.
It's just a joke. It's an absolute joke. I mean, you would be better off trying to farm the only source of legendary soulstones, which is the Drake guild boss, than you will trying to scale up for 50,000 soulstone, 50,000 Apex coins. Especially when they're introducing, this is the next point on here, is that they're introducing her artifact, isn't it, as
it's
a
going to be
seasonal
in there as
reward.
Well. Yep.
Yeah, and Lust's artifact is also going to be thrown in there. So they're introducing these seasonal exclusive artifacts. Now, when people first looked at this, there was a bit of concern that they were going to be seasonal exclusive and only available for that season in that pool. But considering the first one that they put in is Lust's exclusive. I have a feeling that this is going to be just another source of us being able to use to get these exclusive artifacts, so we can start leveling them up more. But yeah, it's just the whole. How are you supposed to save up 40,000 tokens if you're trying to buy the exclusive artifact? And it's going to be that trade-off. It's like, do I save up all my coins, or do I spend 1,200? Because then these exclusive artifacts aren't going to be cheap if they're selling the hero for 40,000. Then, how am I going to save up to get this hero if I'm being milked along the way? It's going to be tough.
And I mean, unless you finish an Apex every week, right? So they said, what was it, 4,000 or 400 coins that you were going to get every week?
Yeah, 400 in Overlord. Yeah. So it's 1,500 in Apex,
right? 400. So okay, so 3,000. So it'll take you a while to get the 40,000 that you need. But again, we do not know exactly how many the seasonal rewards are going to give. And I always have to keep in the back of my mind as well that RTA is coming. So I'm going to say that based on experiences from a previous game, that I would think that it's going to be, depending on how much grinding you do in Arena, and if you're consistently doing it, might be 3, 4, 5 months for those that are in Apex consistently to possibly get Sanja in their accounts. And then after that, it's all about the Soulstones, right? But like you said, okay, so we're going to add all these other rare rewards, quote unquote, which are most likely going to be rare crystals and ancients and, like you could say, exclusive seasonal artifacts. So then you got to make up, if you're just in Plat 3, Plat 2, maybe you get into Overlord from time to time based on your account. Then you got to look at your account and say, do I want to save all of this for this hero? Or if I was lucky enough to get Lust into my account, do I invest in her so she can push me even further, maybe in Gilbots or in Semra, and give up on the idea of getting Sanja?
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that, but it feels really painful just looking at that 40,000 target at the moment. And the trickle rewards, unless you're in Apex, it seems like a very whaley mountain.
Yes.
And
it's what it
very,
is.
very unfriendly to the player base.
Well, the whaling thing, I agree with you. That's exactly what this is. Unfriendliness to the player base, it will be construed as that for some, because, in Raid Shadow Legends, some people were never going to be able to attain that hero in RTA because they probably didn't have the meta heroes that they needed to push that content. But in regards to this, I mean, it's going to be the same situation. Some people, regardless of how long they play, they might never get this hero. In my Forerunner account, I'm not holding my breath on ever being able to summon her. And in my global account, if I do want her, I would have to push Arena. And you know how I feel about Arena. It's just not a fun content to do. And I just do whatever battles I need to do to make sure I don't D-rank as much and possibly get that one ancient if I want to pursue it. But my fix to Arena wasn't this. It wasn't us. We leave it as it is. But now it's just going to give you an incentive to grind it.
No, it's I really feel like it's like, how do we get people to play our most hated game mode? Let's make people hate it even more. I mean, it's, especially on Forerunner's account, because the Forerunner servers, I mean, this is a bit of a Forerunner rant, which I could go on about for hours, but Forerunner server is not doing well. The player retention is dropping off.
And significantly.
And the number of new people coming in is very, very low. Occasionally you see some very low-level accounts, and obviously they've released another tranche. But it's very difficult to have the traffic that would push you into Apex Overlord, because I spent most of the week in the top 50 of the arena ranks. And it's only now, in the last 2 days, when anyone who's interested in arena pushes on Forerunners, that there's any movement, and I'm starting to drop.
So I had to take you off screen for a bit, but as you can see here in Forerunners, I am ranked 237 right now, and I'm in the middle of Plat 3. So that tells you exactly how much activity there is going on right now. And, you know, there are some people here in Apex, there's no question there, but there isn't enough drive force in here for people to really want to push this content. And let's see, Overlord now is what, 100? Okay, so it's increasing a little bit. But look, 129.
Yeah.
So everybody here gets crumpled up. We're all trying to beat each other up to get into Overlord, and that's why you see what the rankings display as they are. But that is because the number of people that are actively pushing this content is very few. So that's why we see that. Now in global, we're not going to see that, but we're definitely going to be a lot of people there that are going to drive to try to get this hero into their account, especially if you have a stacked account and you just don't want to collect every hero that there is in the game.
Yeah, and remember that Apex is limited to 200 people a week.
Right. That too.
So that is really going to annoy. It's going to annoy some of their whales. It's going to annoy. Well, if you're going to annoy people who spend money, spend lots of money, then it's not a problem because they'll just spend more money to try and get those heroes again. But if you're semi-free to play, or like a mid-tier dolphin, then it's going to be disheartening, and you'll either push you in either direction. You either push to spend more, or you just go, I can't be bothered with this, and stop spending.
Right. So I think that eventually down the line, it will lead to them probably increasing the cap of people that do finish in Apex, because again, in other games, I saw the same thing. There were only a limited amount of people that could finish in the top rank of Arena, and they must have seen it in analytics that some people just because of it decided to stop spending, and then they said, okay, let's increase the number of people that can finish in that tier for that at the end of the week. And then maybe we can get those accounts to, again, consider to stop spending, going after the heroes by increasing that. I think that that's probably what's going to happen here as well down the line when they start just seeing the activity, because they're collecting analytics in the background. So once they kind of get a measure of how things are playing out, because there are only 200 that can finish, then I think that later on they're going to try to increase that. So we'll see how that all plays out. But I guess we kind of have shown here our reservations about it and how we think people are going to react to this. We certainly like to hear your comments if you have any regarding the introduction of the legendary hero. I know that we're going to have some that say, I love Arena, I love beating up on people, it won't be a problem for me, I'll go and chase her. But there are going to be other ones that are going to be like, oh no, this is to pay to win, I'm not even going to deal with this again. So but yeah, comment in the sections below, let us know what you really think of this little change that is going to go on, especially with an exclusive hero, legendary hero, that is going to be acquirable by you grinding a piece of content that you may not like.
There are two extra points we haven't just touched on yet, which is one, they're reducing the cost of arena permits for a couple of purchases right here each day. Yeah, and the other is how they're hiding BP in Overlord and above. Now, previously, when you went to Overlord and above, you just got 6 question marks for someone's skill. Someone's BP. Now what you get is a bracket. So if you're between 350,000 to 450,000, it says the BP of the target is 400,000. Above 450,000 to 550,000, it's just 500,000. So you get an idea, and I think that's fairer on people. They have more idea about how the battle is going to go before they go in, rather than clicking on an unknown target and suddenly finding you're at someone who's against 550k BP, and it's like, yeah, this was a wasted attack.
Okay.
I think that's a nice change. I think I will give them credit for that, but the Apex shop, the Apex coins, and currently how they're rewarding Apex coins across the tiers is a mistake, and it needs real consideration.
All right, so let's wrap up the rest, just to show everybody how things, what other things are changing. And you already covered the two major ones, and of course they're going to make you want to grind this, so they're going to decrease the price of the arena permits that you purchased initially. They added a new feature, and I've seen this where you get bonus points or bonus point rewards for winning streaks. So if you start getting into the 5, 6, you start seeing this numbers pop up where then your rewards are based on that.
But it's not going to be it. But it's like 1 or 2 extra points that you gain. It's quite small levels of points.
It's very minimal. Yeah, exactly.
You'll mostly do it when you're doing your climb at the beginning of the week, and you're beating lots of people because you're right at the bottom of the bracket, and so. Yeah, that's when you're going to see the most impact of it. But I think unless you're on a super arena account, then you're not going to see much use out of it.
And according to this, if the weekly calculation rewards for the platinum tiers are now going to get a rare summoning crystal. Youpee!
Better than a kick in the teeth.
Exactly. All right, so that's pretty much in Forerunner news right now for this week's patch. It is I guess we kind of given our thoughts about it. For some it's going to be a welcome addition, for some it's going to be a detriment. We'll see how the community reacts to this. And I guess I don't think that they're going to backtrack from this. I think that this addition here is to make us grind it, and I have a feeling that they might do the same thing for RTA.
Probably. Yeah. I think because you spotted something in the Discord patch notes for the global release, which is coming out on Tuesday next week.
Did they take those out? Because I can't find it, but it's somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, I screen grabbed it and I posted it on Discord.
Okay, good.
So they definitely posted that Global was going to be getting gear locking for Arena before it's been rolled out on Forerunners. And that was a bit of a head scratcher because the whole point is that the Forerunner server is that we get stuff thrown at us to see how it's working before it's released on Global. Mm-hmm. Okay, we know gear locking is working in GVG. It's working really well, and in GVG, and it's really good. And they've been able to do it for the friendly face-off. They've been able to do it for the standard battles. And we had, I think, everyone was crying out who tried it, saying, "And now we need this for Arena." And then all of a sudden, it's announced, and under the other section of the global patch notes, gear locking coming for gear in artifact locking coming to Arena. And so everyone's, all the forerunners go, but what about us? We had a patch yesterday, Friday. What's going on? And then I was on the YouTube channel, the official YouTube channel earlier, and I looked at the patch notes post there on their community tab, and it doesn't have this other section. It doesn't have any of the points that were raised there. So I wonder if it was a draft or it was a miscommunication and a wrong version got posted on the Discord. And now that wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's coming, but I think Global is going to have to wait till September to see it.
But regardless of whether, let's say if it is true or not, I'm just your emphasis or the thing that you wanted to bring out there, just in case somebody in Muntan is watching this, is that, listen, the reason that Forerunners players still play the game is because we get stuff early on for us to take a peek at it before Global. When you do this, in terms of doing simultaneous, or you give Global the heads up over Forerunners, you disenfranchise players, and then you make them less excited about it. And that's why we're seeing the drop off here in Forerunners. So I think that if you want Forerunners to be active, give us the heroes, the content, let us play around with it for two weeks before it rolls on to global. Maybe we even pick up some bugs that are in it, because definitely the Soleil boss, there was a way to bring her down really easily, and they patched that up really quick, right?
Unfortunately, before I was able to beat it, but yes, they did patch it out really quickly.
With that, that's the news and updates of this episodes. Okay, for the second segment of today's episode, we are going to do a hero spotlight. And a lot of this kind of got born from the epic challenge that is going on right now. So Arturos, I'm going to let you kind of just tell everybody what it is that we are going to be looking forward to here.
Yes, so as it's been mentioned, a lot of the CCs across the war community are taking part in this Wreck It with Epic challenge that Fastidious is organised. We thought this would be a perfect opportunity to look at some of the heroes, the epic heroes who are out there, some of whom we overlook in favour of the legendaries, because there are so many legendaries out there. Now, when someone comes to game new and fresh, they might not get the luck with those draws, and then they see they're just getting all of these epics and don't really know how to make use of them. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to bring in some people who like to experiment with the epics and really push them as far as they can, and often doing it with not even the end game gear. They're using sort of the mid game gear to push these heroes as absolutely far as they can, to show what you can do with these epic heroes and how we can really make use of them.
So for that, instead of Arturos and I going to reinvent the wheel with our accounts, we decided we're gonna, like he said, bring somebody in that likes doing this stuff and actually look into kind of the tiering crafted of each hero. So for that, we recruited our good friend WynTheGrey, who is in the Dragon Slayers community, and he does show a lot of this stuff, and he posts them on YouTube. He doesn't have a face cam; he just posts his gameplay, but it's actually really interesting to see what some of these heroes can do. Now, when, as here shown in the middle, he does not like to be in face cam, which is fine, but I asked him for an avatar, and he sent me this. So when, number one, thank you very much for joining us. Number two, go ahead and introduce yourself to the community and tell us exactly why you chose this particular avatar.
Good afternoon. My name's WynTheGrey. I am a member of the Dragon Slayers community. I was recruited by IC way back when. Happy to be a member of the group. Most people know me for the Shamir video that I did with Ivy. And so I do legitimately like Shamir as a hero. As I told Ivy, most people don't make her Shamir fast enough. So that's where I brought out the 700 speed Shamir. And that, I think, kind of upset the meta a little bit. Most people still say that Shamir's got a niche kit and a niche set. But I think it's good to see what a hero can do when you give them some love. And one of the things that I tend to do is when I find a hero that's getting a lot of hate, I try and find some ways to put that hero to use. It doesn't always make him the best of the best. But if I can make a hero useful, it's better than a hero that's sitting on the bench. And so that's kind of my overall philosophy. And so, I probably have gone into my epics at a good deal more than a lot of people who focus only on the legendaries. Only because I don't like to have things sitting on the bench. I like to experiment with everything on my account. I like to go through Void Rift differently every week. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and what gives me joy.
That is one of the things that you're really, really good at, is bringing all the different variety to your Void Rift run. If people, we'll put a link to Wyn's channel below in the comment section, in the in the description. But what every week he's posting videos and he is using all of these interesting heroes, and it does make you stop and think and go, okay, wow. And let's just be clear with everyone: you're not using the tier 3 gear here. You're using sort of like the tier 2 sets, aren't you?
Correct. Yeah. So I a long time ago, I recognized with my YouTube channel that there's going to be a difference between my account and a lot of other people's account. So I put on a rule on myself that for my epic heroes, I was not going to use the tier 3 gear. That I would save the tier 3 gear for the legendaries, and then all the epics that I would have would be only the gear raid 18 and below. I do have one exception to that, and that's the epics that are involved in supporting guild content, because I don't want to let my personal quirks sabotage my guild members. But so you know, my gear raid team, or sorry, my guild boss team and my GVG, I'll legitimately use some tier 3 gear on that. But for most of my heroes, correct, it's most of my epics that they're I use a lot of Glacier, a lot of Curse, some Wisdom, some Fracture, some yeah.
Okay, so ironically enough, no, I was going to say, so ironically enough, the hero that we're going to be covering today, which is in the epic side, actually belongs in the same faction as Shamir. So we're going to bring him in, and that is going to be Voroth. So here is today's hero spotlight. So I'm going to let you, Wyn, walk us through the kit and what it is that you like about it, and what do you find that he brings into the game.
Okay, so I think that Voroth actually has 3 things that you can actually build around. The first is that he's got good all-around attributes. He's got good health for a epic. Most of them have like 15 to 18k health and about 4k attack. So he's already head and shoulders above most of the other epics as far as base stats go. The other thing that is interesting in his kit is that he's got specialized attack speed, which means that the attack interval that you gain by adding speed accelerates more rapidly than for other heroes. And then the third thing he's got is a reflect kit, a revenge skill, whereas if he gets hit, he can attack back with a 25% chance. And so those 3 things, I think you could build him differently depending on which of those areas you want to capitalize on. For me, because he does have such a high base health and such a good attack speed, or sorry, such a good base attack, I would have a hard time justifying putting any gear on him apart from Glacier. That gives him the ability to be just a good all-around bruiser. You know, the Glacier converts HP into attack value, so you can dabble a little bit of HP and get some attack back, and that makes him just kind of a good all-around bruiser hero.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing for me about his kit is the fact that you don't actually have to add any attack speed onto him. Because as soon as he gets to his ultimate, he had something like 1,400 attack speed. And then you're hitting the speed cap of like the interval of like 0.6, 0.7 on these heroes. So it's incredible that you can just do that straight away and you don't have to think about it. Makes the kit much more flexible.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, agreed. And then the first time I ever saw him, that's something that jumped out at me, is that no matter how much attack speed I cranked onto him, I couldn't even match that 1,400 attack speed that he gets from his ultimate. Back then I was limited to 400 or 500 attack speed. That's a quarter of what he's getting there, or a third.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're dead on. Is that you don't have to build him for attack speed. You certainly have that option, but you don't have to use it aspect of his kit. So go ahead, Sebastian.
So for the spotlight, what we had asked you to is that if you could collect some clips and send it to us, but luckily enough, you had already uploaded a lot of content on YouTube. So I just went over and looked at your page here and went ahead and let me see if I can go ahead and get this. I'm gonna have to take you off screen a little bit here for a minute. So the idea here for the first clip that you sent me is where you really think that he was meant to be used early on, and that's an AMR. So for this one, do I show so you sent me 3 different type of builds here, and I labeled them as I have a DPS, a speed, and a tank. So which one do you use for this particular content here?
This one, he's a tank build.
So he's a tank build. Yep. So I'm going to show everybody that one. So if you can just go quickly over it, and then we'll go ahead and start playing the clip on the back.
Yeah. So what this is showcasing is one of the cool things that you can really get out of Glacier. This is an 80k Voroth with almost no attack speed. He gets to 12 plus he gets 5,000 or 6,000 attack from the Glacier conversion, so he's getting up to 17 or 18,000 attack. And then he's not doing as much damage as if he put more effort into crit damage. But that's not his job. His job is to sit there and get hit, right? And then his revenge, he's got that 25% to retaliate whenever he's hit. His revenge is actually going to do some damage. So that this build is great for an artifact material raid, where he just sits there and occupies space, and then off to one of the sides of the boss. And then as the minions come in from the side, he's getting hit, revenging against them, and then that still leaves his ultimate free to start targeting the boss when you want to burn the boss down.
Okay, so this is a life force with Glacier set up on him, and as he said, he loaded up some attack. There is some crit damage there, and of course he has crit cap. So let me then now start playing this clip then. And you go ahead and explain it, set it up. Let me know if you want me to pause it. But essentially here, you're just using the epics in the game, and Voroth is going to be your tank, right?
No, I'm using... Isolde is going to be the tank.
All right.
But this is definitely using some of the early game epics, and this I think is kind of like that first epic clear. Notice that I'm waiting until the boss gets his toe across that line into the bottom square before I place the tank. The reason for that is because that allows you to beat on the boss from all 4 sides. There goes Gluttony. Gluttony's really tanky. And so you can see using these tanky fighters, there goes Voroth. The boss has this AoE attack where you know that you want to have at least 50k attack, 50k hit points on the 4 fighters that you've got surrounding the boss, just because he's got that AoE. And so this is an area where Voroth does very, very well. You can see he's reflecting and revenge against the minions, and then when we pop ultimates, he's ready to go and beat on the boss a little bit.
Okay, so then when the boss did his AoE there, his passive is proccing.
Yes.
Okay.
And also when the minions come in from the sides, they you can see how both he and Gluttony are chewing up the minions.
Okay.
Okay, you see those 11k, 16k on a reflect hit isn't all that great, but it's not cutting into his ability to damage the boss. That's extra damage that he's applying to the environment.
Yeah, so he definitely is not meant to take on this boss by himself, but if you surround him with a good cast, you can take advantage of his passive and everything else that his kit has to offer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to let this play out. Are you showing damage stats here at the end then? Is that what I'm looking for?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and go there. So he he definitely did his job in handling the minions here. So he wasn't really the driving force behind bringing down the boss.
Right.
Okay. But people can use him to handle the sides.
Sorry, I was just saying he's definitely there. He's taking the hits from the side, so he's taking the same amount of damage as Gluttony, and he's putting out that damage on the side and offering that protection in the side channel, which you might otherwise have had to put a tank on, and you might not have had the damage, and you might have led to leakage or something. So it definitely was an effective way of using him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Is when you put a tank in that position, a lot of times you do end up not being able to kill the minions. And that does, as you said, eventually the minions build up and then they break through. But if you're revenging down and having a chance to kill them, which is, both Gluttony and Voroth have a small AoE, then those minions die.
Okay, so for those watching this and looking at this particular example and going to want to try this out and going to try to copy your build, the only thing that is not shown is the artifact. So if you had to pick a legendary artifact, and then of course if they've now are going to push and then luckily got a mythic, which artifacts they should be looking at this level of gameplay? For Voroth.
For Voroth, probably the best one is going to be the I've forgotten what it's called, but the Watchguard.
Watchguard Ambition.
Chance of a double swing.
Okay.
15% bonus attack. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'd probably go with that one for most epics. Unfortunately, I've got a ridiculous number of mythic artifacts at this point. And now I'm using Voroth's exclusive artifact. But yeah, it's
which is amazing because it does even more damage based on his attack speed, doesn't it? It's like 1.2 times his attack speed, and it scales up as it levels up.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, right, and that's kind of giving you an incentive to build more attack speed onto him, but you don't necessarily need to.
All right, and then if you are lucky enough to get his exclusive, would you use it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
There actually was, I think, what was it? Was it the Crawling Dark?
Yes, with Fascia.
Where I think his exclusive was in the shop for that one back last fall. I know that I got it for free at some point. So
okay, so this next clip is titled "Rourke Chilling with the Orcs." Is this the same build, or did you use a different one for this one?
This is a different build. This one, he's about 60k health, and about 18k attack, and about 18 and about an extra 100 crit damage. So it's kind of falling in between, but a little bit closer to the DPS build that I
okay, so it's neither the builds that you sent in. Okay, so I'll just play this clip here, and then you can kind of tell us exactly what it is that how you use them in this regard here.
Right. So the overall thing that I was looking at here was that Durza is considered to be an absolutely terrible hero. Everybody hates Durza, and trying to figure out ways to use Durza. And so I stumbled upon this idea of using him not to buff DPS heroes, but to buff tankier heroes. He gives a direct damage boost and a speed boost in exchange for draining somebody's life. If you're draining away the life of a DPS hero, who's really fragile, okay, you just kill them. But what can you do when you're draining the life of a tankier hero? They've got some health that they can afford to lose, and they may need some damage. So here I've got Voroth, he's up front. That's mainly a requirement based on just his reach. And then I've got Rourke in the back row, even though Rourke actually has significantly more hit points.
Right.
And so there you can just see that Durza used his drain, and they all lost a whole bunch of hit points. But they're chewing up the enemies as they're coming in pretty fast. You wouldn't necessarily expect that they could take down Void Rift Nightmare ogres that quickly. But that's a combination of Voroth popping his ultimate and then Rourke popping his, and then Durza buffing both of them. So,
okay.
Meanwhile, on this particular one, I've got Carnelian, who's giving her little unyielding effect to try and keep them both alive. So you've got Durza and Carnelian kind of canceling each other out.
Okay.
And some mitigating. Rourke also can provide some shields, but when people pop ultimates, which is again mitigating the risk that Durza's applying. I think on this one, like I said, this is a 60k HP build on Voroth. I think that he does eventually die, but the Void Rift Nightmare or those ogres, things do die sometimes.
Yeah, especially because of the randomness in the Ludwig phases. You never know.
Especially fighters, but yeah. But if he weren't being drained or something along those lines, maybe he wouldn't have died. But yeah, I think that this is it's a unique way to use a hero. But yeah, Voroth just died there.
Yeah, but to me, that is it's not necessarily bad that he died. It's just the idea behind it, that how you decided to use other heroes that you have in your account to possibly, make them pop a little bit more. And I mean, people are gonna look at this and say, well, he died, but I'm looking at it and say, you went without a healer on this. You actually tried to take that.
Carnelian was a healer, right? Yeah, but she's kind of a weird.
It's a weird type of healer, right? But it's not a pure healer. So you took a chance, even with the low HP, to make sure that you could get the most out of his kit. So I think that if you would have added a healer or some way or shields, I put Gwendolyn in here.
Right.
You could have cleared this with him. So
right, yeah, with no deaths. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. So
this was kind of just a test of concept. What can you do with Durza, who's very unpopular, and some of the tankier damage dealers who are also unpopular because they don't do enough damage. So, but the combination of the two of them does work pretty well.
That is okay. I really like that clip there, Wyn. That's pretty phenomenal what you did there with those two heroes there. All right, so the next one that I have here is just a Raidan battle. So is this one your attack specialized or your DPS?
This is a dead DPS.
Okay, let me flash that on screen here. Hopefully, I don't screw things up. So here we go. And like Arturo's mentioned before, we're not using T3 sets here. So go ahead and explain what you were looking to set up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this comes out to be with a mythic artifact just under 60k hit points, and then it comes right around 18,000 attack. With 156 crit damage, crit cap. You've got some speed on him. He's got 300 speed. So this is some pretty decent tier 2 gear.
Okay.
That's a really nice build. I'd certainly be happy with that build on any of my legendaries.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is a pretty good glacier. Okay, so let me now go back to this Raidan battle and let's play and see what we can come up with here. So again, I'm not going to assume anything. You just go ahead and tell people exactly how we use them here.
Yeah. So this is again one of those battles where like the hero visit comes in and they say, "Hey, here I am. Do this thing for me." That makes your daily log on play just a little bit more interesting. Most of the time, if you do a fight, there'll be a boss involved. And one of the things that I've tried to do with those is use epics only for these battles, because it makes things a lot more interesting. It really shines the light on the epics. So this is using Voroth very much as he's still in that bruiser tank role, but he's supported by, in this case, it's Lightlock as a healer, and Rourke is providing shields from behind.
And a DPS Theowin who's just killing everything anyway.
Right. Well, I've got a kind of interesting build on Theowin. That he's got just under 600 attack speed, but I managed to get him there with a curse set with attack on the curse jewelry with really good speed subs, and then whirlwind. So Theowin is doing a great job of just tying down that bottom right lane.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the guy's name, but the one who's just standing there off to the right is the epic werewolf who goes invisible.
Vargas.
I've forgotten what his name is, but that's basically what he's doing there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then we're about to see just a unleashing of the whirlwind from Voroth.
Yeah.
So,
He's just chewing it up.
Yeah.
That's
So
brilliant.
yeah. So essentially, yeah, he gets hit, and then he just goes ham on that. And do you show the damage card here at the end? Yeah, you should.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And he's kind of at the bottom here, but he did his job. Okay.
Right, and you'll see that a lot of those things on these damage cards, when you're actually going through levels, a huge amount of the damage comes from placement. You know, that marksmen are just going to do more damage because they're hitting things from further away, whereas if a fighter's only got that one square of range. So placement really matters when you're dealing with lane clears.
All right. So the next clip that I have is just him going tank mode is what you have it labeled as. So I guess we just went back to the other build here. But you still on Voidwraith Nightmare here.
This is still on the DPS build.
Oh, this is DPS build. You just have him as a tank, or testing him as a tank in that build.
Right, with 60k health.
Okay.
Right. So does he have the chops to survive with Voidwraith Nightmare as 60k health? I have a hard time. 50k seems to be a kind of magic number in Voidwraith Nightmare. Whereas if you don't have at least 50k, things just die in one hit.
Okay.
So they really need 50 to 60k. Fighters do, or they just get wiped instantly. So this is an attempt to see what he can do with that 60k hit points.
Okay, so you're gonna make him go against the Addicts followers here, which they do hit hard.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So here come the skeletons or the crawlers.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Chop chop.
I mean, he survived a charged up Ardag follower.
He did.
And yeah, he's supported by Haas's shields, which are always going to be strong. But even so, this is a significant amount of damage being put out by him because he just melted that follower as soon as it came close, and he's able to withstand these big hits that are coming in. So it's a solid build, and it's doing exactly what you intended it to do.
Mm-hmm. Right, and this is bruiser builds in general are not really popular because they tend not to score as high as glass cannon builds in boss fights and stuff like that. But when it comes to the lane clearing portion of the game, they've still got a role.
I mean, he's taking hits from those followers. There's just no. Most people would think that he would just be dead by then. So, I always thought that, given the faction that he was in, that it would be nice if he had the chance to apply freeze, but you don't think he needs it, right? He just he's doing just fine the way that he's built or that he's made.
I mean, if he had a freeze, it would make him stronger.
Okay.
But his main goal is to sit. The way I view him is that he sits there like a lump on a log, getting hit, and then he kind of goes, "Yeah, don't bother me." Bam, bam.
Exactly.
You know, stop hitting me. Bam, bam. And then eventually you wake him up, and he gets pissed off, and at that point he unleashes and kills stuff.
So for somebody for somebody that is looking at this card and say, well, Estrid's still doing the most damage than Voroth, so why do we even bother Voroth? The thing that we have to remember about Estrid, though, is that she applies defense down, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to excel a little bit on the damage, but in this particular setting, you're using him to slow things down and at the same time bring him, do some damage, and then allow the supporting cast around him to finish the job off if he can't do it on his own.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I do a whole lot with teamwork, because just it's interesting that way.
All right. So in this clip here, we're going up against the Spectre, and I'm gonna you're gonna use him here to chop down the boss. Is that the idea?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay,
it's been a while.
Let's just look and be surprised then.
Yeah, so I do remember this is the same series, so this is still the DPS build that I had, but with that 60k hit point. So.
All right, so you are kind of setting things up to trap the boss.
Yeah, plenty of heals on the map. Hard's down. Okay.
The one showcase that I've done with the Spectre, I used Liam to bring the boss down, but I'm looking forward to see here how Voroth comes into play. Okay, here we go. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so here you're going to ask him to tank a couple of hits, and at the same time, try to bring this boss down.
Yeah, but once everybody's ultimates all lined up, then they're just going to kind of burn. So this is two epic fighters.
So for those of you trying to look here, so Voroth is being hidden by the Spectre, and then he has King Hars here, and he has Estrid here, and they're all either holding him up or they're damaging him.
Yeah, and what's important here as well is the fact that you had to wait until the Spectre came forward and was engaging Hars.
Because
right. Otherwise, she does this blast move, which just removes units which aren't strong enough. So this is definitely one where timing comes into play to make it work effectively.
So for those that didn't have King Hars, do you think King Hars could, or Saldi or Ola could have held up in that situation there?
So Isolde, maybe.
Okay.
Although you might face her like downward, because King Hars at A1 he does a shield of everybody around him, which is really very powerful. Isolde does it to either side of her.
Okay.
So you know, is that Hars was actually protecting the both Estrid and Voroth in that fight. So you might run into that question a little bit. But yeah, it's you could probably do that, and then the heroes themselves would be 5% weaker because of Isolde's Lord skill is slightly lower.
Yeah.
So.
And there is the card. So yeah, I mean, Voroth is going to be at the top because he was the one that was instructed to take down the boss, and Bob did the top, and Estrid did what Estrid does.
And just so you're aware, I've got a very strong build on Estrid too.
Okay.
So it's that I've got a 600 speed Estrid right now with about 50k hit points.
I have here the Laseer one. Okay, so yeah, I do have the Laseer one. So same thing. You're just now going to use them as a unit to chop down Laseer.
Right.
Okay, so we'll let this play out. Now, this is the same DPS build that we showed previously with the Annihilating set and the Glacier set.
Yeah, correct. Annihilating might, yeah. Now, one of the things that's here, of course, is that Laseer has this big, nasty blast that tends to just eliminate units. So I did use Fercy as the healer. Fercy's got his AoE damage protection. And then I also have what's her name?
Aelin.
Yes, Aelin. She also provides some damage reaction. So both Voroth and Estrid are very well protected by healer effects too. On that.
Now that's a 3+ Aelin, because otherwise Voroth isn't going to be in Aelin standard healing range.
Correct. Yeah. I don't remember if she was A5 yet at this point, but I do have her A5. Aelin.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing. It's a really big heal square when she is fully reaches that level of awakening, but it does make a difference in how you use her.
Yes, it does. And that's a good call out. So this one is, it's not the fastest clear ever, but for 2 epic fighters and an epic marksman, that's not bad either.
And this is Harpoon as well as the epic marksman.
Yeah, yes, I was going to say, it's like it looks like Harpoon up there, doesn't it?
Yes, I'm actually kind of fond of Harpoon. When you get him to A5, he does his own shield. Okay. And when he's shielded, he ignores 30% defense. So he's kind of like got a weak version of the Idril's Gaze artifact just built into his kit. So yeah, I think Harpoon is a little bit more complex than most people give him credit for. So this coming fight is really interesting because you look, those slimes merge, and most of the time that's bad news.
Yeah, it is.
But in this case, you've got Voroth just going to town, toe to toe with them, and that he's doing just fine. So that this is, I think, worth a call out. That's something that you can do with when you've got a tanky bruiser that you can't necessarily do with other types of heroes. So.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw this, it was just amazing to watch him just stand there and just take those hits from those slimes, those merged slimes, because they hit really, really hard.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and for those that are just, have this hero, are starting out with the game, and if they can apply the same methodology here in the, I guess it was a normal mode or hard mode, normal and hard mode, or easy and hard, I can't remember what it is. Right. If they just apply the same methodology, they should be able to clear this type of stage. It's relatively simple.
Hard mode, yeah. This is Nightmare. So
I know this. Yeah, I'm just saying if we have an early mid game type level player and they're still in that hard mode trying to get into Nightmare, I mean, you could use Voroth precisely for this. I mean, the amount of health and HP or attack that those minions have at that time are not as intensive as Nightmare is. So there he is. Yeah, he did chop down things. There's no question in that. And there's little Harpoon. Look at that. He did some damage there. My goodness. All right. So that was a very good showcase there. So I know that you also sent me, if I remember correctly, let me see if I can find it. But this build, what exactly were you going for in this build here?
So this one's looking more at speed. And so you can see that the attack is a little bit higher. The speed is a little bit higher. Give up a little bit of hit points. Give up a little bit of crit damage. But this is for if you've got his artifact, right, where you're getting extra damage based off of speed, and so you just want to be trying to maximize the damage during his ultimate. That you might build something more like this.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting showcase. So any final thoughts regarding Voroth? I mean, the reason that I find it intriguing that this hero was chosen in particular by you and Arturos is because I want to say, and I know I went back and tried to look for the clip, but I'm pretty sure that during the Epic Challenge, there was a CC to summon Voroth, and then automatically dusted him for a token, for Epic tokens. And I was like, if you guys really can show him that he can do some very good stuff in the early game and mid game, that person might regret it.
I think absolutely he's an excellent hero for early game, if only because what he can do in artifact material raid will help your progression, period. I tend not to try and tell people how to prioritize their resources.
Right.
Because, the order that you pull stuff in factors into that and stuff like that. It's I try not to give blanket advice without digging into specific situations. I do think that Voroth does suffer a little bit compared to some other heroes. So this is not necessarily saying that he's the greatest hero in the world. But if he's sitting on your bench, you can dust him off with a different build and put him in a different role. And so you can get some use out of him that way. And and then that's, you could use him more as a tank and a reflector, or you can use it more as a bruiser. Or you can use them at kind of speed. There are options there that you can start looking at. And then ultimately, if you've got him already skilled and awakened, there's no reason not to use him from time to time.
I remember when I first started playing that I used him a lot in the guild boss because of his DPS potential. So he's definitely got versatility for a lot of the early game, especially just when you're trying to hunt resources as much as anything. So being able to put decent damage into guild bosses and get those reward chests is always a good thing. And as you say, if you can build him in a tanky build, then it'll help you progress through the campaign, especially if you're lucky enough to pull Istrid as well. Then you've got a hell of a combination there for just putting out lots of damage.
Yeah, agreed. He and Astrid make great pairings. He and Rourke make great buddies. There's some good solid synergy that he could have with both of those heroes.
Well, Wyn, thank you very much for joining us and helping us showcase this hero. Hopefully we can bring you in the future to showcase other epics that people do disregard at times, and that some easily dust for tokens when they're starting epic challenges. So Arturos, this was a phenomenal little bit about Voroth and the Northerner, and I'll before I close things out, I'll just let you give any final thoughts that you have in this particular hero, and then we'll excuse Wyn for the day.
Yeah, I'd say Voroth. He's incredibly versatile, as has been shown by all of the clips that Wyn has kindly put together for us. It's definitely making me think about how I might be able to use him a bit more, and seeing what Wyn has done is also making me think, okay, maybe I shouldn't just auto everything. Maybe I should put a bit more thought into some of these little challenges that come up during the week just to get a little bit more out of it. But it's so easy just to hit auto battle on those things.
I agreed. I love those the little weekly pop-ups. For me, that is part of the joy of the game. So yeah, if you get the chance, have fun with those.
Yeah.
Right.
But Voroth's a great hero. Really glad that with everything you've been able to show off, and looking forward to bringing you on again in the future to do some more of these heroes.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you all very much for tuning in and watching. Please use the YouTube comment section below. Let us know what you thought about the spotlight. Is there any particular epic that you would like to see us cover in the future? And of course, I want to thank Wyn again for joining us. So for Arturos, for myself, thank you again. We will see you all next week in another Wars Going On episode.